Fallout from the debate, what people are saying. Let's get into it. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
Now, Decision 2024, it is the day after what might be the one and only debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Harris has asked for one more. Trump so far says no. Now, there were some big disagreements last night, but what we saw, will it change the minds of any voters? Our political reporter, Marianne Ahern, is here with more reaction today. Marianne?
Alex, the overwhelming view is Kamala Harris came better prepared. But will that translate into winning over undecideds? Here's the top issues they focused on, and we also spoke to suburban voters in Naperville who watched and if the debate changed any minds.
People can't go out and buy cereal or bacon or eggs or anything else.
The economy, one of the most talked about issues in the Trump-Harris debate.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression.
And while Harris was seen overall as the debate winner, on the economy, political strategist Pete Giangreco saw missed opportunities on Trump's part.
You would have thought that all Donald Trump had to say was, things were better 4 years ago than they are now. He failed to get that message out.
Likewise, in suburban Naperville, debate viewers weigh in.
I want my money to work, and, the Democrats, they just give the money away. I don't like that.
I think if
At the end of the day, similar to what this guy was just saying, you see the wrinkles in his face? You see why he got that neon shirt on and he got that see-through trucker's hat? You know why he got that shirt on? Is he probably a construction worker? Or he probably work in an industry where they have to prioritize safety. That means that he got to go and trade his time in for money every single day. And then at the end of the day, they take your money and they say that we're going to use the government's money. It's not. It's your tax dollars. You basically are paying for their salaries, and they're going to give it away to wars. They're going to give it away to migrants. They're going to give it away to social services. They're going to manage your money for you. You just got to give it to them. And so at the end of the day, when that debate was over and we got done with all of the vibes and stuff like that, you know what real people was talking about? Because I think the debate was on a Tuesday? It was on a Monday or a Tuesday. That means that people had to get up and go to work in the morning. And when you had to get up and go to work in the morning and your back was still hurting and your knee was killing you and you needed that hip replacement, and then you got your paycheck the next day on that Thursday and you looked at how many taxes was coming out, the vibes wore off. The vibes wore off. People was like, you know what? After all of this talking, I'm tired, boss. And I don't mind working, but not for this. Not for this. And you going to talk about how you going to replace me? And I just got laid off of my job?
And, the Democrats, they just give the money away. I don't like that.
I think if Kamala does some of the things that she says she's going to do, she might be okay, but I still want Trump.
The other top issue discussed, abortion. After that, Trump focused on immigration, Harris on democracy. Political science professor Stephen Maynard Caliendo.
There's got to be so few people who don't know how they're going to vote at this point. But that's all it takes in a couple of key states.
The most watched debates were in 2016, Clinton versus Trump, 1980, Reagan versus Carter. Last night, there was an increase in viewers from the June Biden versus Trump debate. Northwestern Communications and Journalism professor Heather Hendershot on the biggest takeaway.
Everyone is saying that Harris did very well, and I have to agree with that. She prepared very well. She had a game plan. It was very easy to bait Donald Trump, and he took the bait, right?
Some viewers had debate watch rules, even from their own living rooms.
I watched with my husband. We promised not to talk to each other. We promised not to get upset, just to keep our mouths shut and listen.
And when it was over, how did you and your husband, did you agree?
No.
See? See what I'm saying? You know why? Because she liked Kamala Harris. And the husband probably was like, listen, ma'am, Social Security is dying. We on a fixed income.
Well, of course they did not agree. Although she did say they've been married for more than 60 years and they don't always agree, but they did watch together. Also noteworthy, those who time the amount of time spoken say that Trump actually had 5 more minutes than Harris.
You know what? Well, you know what happened when we watch programs in my house? It's a preach-a-mony session. I don't care if it's a movie. I don't care if it's a debate. I don't care what it is. We watch it, and then I'm going to teach a lesson afterwards. All right, so listen, this is the reason, this is what we're going to get out of this. And this is how we're going to move. No questions. What do you mean you're going to set rules in my house? Set rules on who? Anyways, this is on MSNBC, and they were giving their insight on what they're experiencing as far as whether or not the needle are moving one way or another way as a result of the debate.
Jeremy, the headline of your latest New York Times piece is "Pundits Say Harris Won the Debate. Undecided Voters Weren't So Sure." Explain.
So a lot of undecided voters, and the few that there are, because let's be clear, like this election is still going to be decided on a knife's edge. All the polling confirms that, and I'm told even some of the private polling that the campaigns have been looking at since the debate affirms that the needle has not moved much, even though it's very clear that Donald Trump lost this debate. What people are ultimately looking for, who are still on the fence, is a reason to go to the polls for Kamala Harris. I'm talking specifically about Trump curious or former Trump, diehard Trump supporters who are now uncomfortable with voting for him but might do it again. They want to see her sell herself. Why? What are you going to do for me, I think, is what we heard most.
Do you think it's about policy, or is it that they look at her and they say, gosh, you know, she's a woman, she's a black woman, black and Indian woman. Is there a little like just underlying discomfort with that because we've never seen a woman in that position before? And do they need just to see her more, to hear her more? Maybe not necessarily about specific.
You know what I think it is? I think that we're fighting our instincts. We have to fight our instincts to actually force ourselves to do something that we would normally do. And every time that I've done that in my life, I've always regretted it. Every single time that I go against my first thought or I fight what my instincts are telling me, and then I compromise my values in order to do something that somebody else asked me to do, I've always regretted it. I cannot think of one time where I didn't regret it. And I'm not saying don't take insight and information into making an informed decision. I'm saying that we have to push ourselves to vote for her because we know that she's not the candidate that should be in office. And it is I almost believe that this is a test. This is a clear separation and a clear, decisive election to where you have completely different candidates. They have no similarities whatsoever. One is a black woman. One is a white man, tall white man. One is a short black woman. One exudes masculinity. One is telling you to go and it's okay for your sons to go in the girls' bathroom. One of them is saying that we need to go ahead and fix the economy and audit the federal government. The other one is saying that we need to give more money over to Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. The other one is saying that this NATO deal was bad because the United States of America is paying 85% into it, and that's the reason why we need to renegotiate. The other one is saying that we need to bring more nations together because togetherness is all that matters. The other one is saying, listen, we need to make sure that we give more back to the middle class by not taxing all of this and this and that and this, so on and so forth. And the other one is giving a message of you need to pay your fair share in the midst of all of this inflation and all of these layoffs that's going on. And it's a clear difference between the two. Clearly, it's a difference between the two. And what I'm seeing is that people are fighting their natural instinct to go with the person that they would normally go with because they're being influenced by the media, social media, and the people that are around them to only do it one way. Only do it one way. I can't fight that instinct. I got to go with it. I go with the thing that means the most. My whole life, I've always wondered, why am I voting for Democrats? Why am I voting for these people that I know don't have my best interests at heart? I know that this is going to be bad for my daughter and my future. I know that voting this thing in and pushing this legislation through is going to be the worst thing for us, and it's going to feminize our sons and make our daughters for the streets. And they keep on hitting y'all with this abortion talk, talking about women. Look at the programming that's happening in these messages that they're spewing to y'all at these campaign rallies and at the debates. Women should have the right to do what they want to do with their bodies. You mean mutilate your womb? You mean kill the thing that you had the opportunity to never come into this world in the first place if you didn't want it? You mean the thing that we have 100% control over before you ever get pregnant in the first place, we're arguing about that? We're arguing about the fact that you can choose who your baby father is. That you, and of course we have exceptions that they don't disagree with, including rape and incest, but you can basically choose to open up your legs and close your legs. And on top of that, you can choose to use any number of contraceptives or things that prevent you from getting pregnant, let alone getting an STD in the first place. And we're arguing about the right to do whatever it is that you want to do, when all Trump is saying is that this shouldn't be in the hands of the federal government because the federal government is bloated with issues in the first place. This needs to go back to the states. You think I care about whether or not you do what it is that you do with your body? I look at women for the streets all day, every day. You know what I do? I walk right past them. You know why? Because I've never had the issue of trying to figure out whether or not I wanted to convince a woman to get an abortion or not. You know why? Because I've never been in a position to have a child out of wedlock in the first place. Somehow this issue never hurt me. It never crossed my mind. I had to force myself to become informed on the issue in the first place, and I never even spoke about it. Why? Because it wasn't something that ever affected me. You mean I had the choice of whether or not I wanted to exercise dick discipline and sleep with every woman in the world? And the majority of these women are having children with the same men in the first place? And we want to sit there with a Planned Parenthood van outside of the Democratic National Convention, and they're preaching to you demonic behavior. Demonic behavior. I've never had the conversation with my daughter about abortion. Never. We've had other conversations, what sex is, what responsibility is, marry before you carry, all of this other stuff. It's not even an issue that I've ever had in my family, ever. Never had that issue in my family before in my life. It's not even an issue that we would be concerned about.
Policy, but just to see her in a presidential genre, atmosphere, milieu, I don't think I'm using all those words incorrectly, to make him feel more comfortable with voting for her to be president of the United States. We're not talking about race that much in this debate, at least not outwardly. We're not. She's not talking about it. She's not talking about how she's a woman. But our voters may be feeling it.
I think that she knows that in order to reach centrist voters, swing voters, she shouldn't talk about what she is in terms of her gender and her race. She should talk about what she's going to do as president. And that's why she needs to be out there more, to your question. People need to feel like they can trust her to govern, that she can get things through Congress. I mean, the thing that I heard most in talking to these voters is they want Washington to not be broken anymore. So for the next president to be able to deliver for them, which is why the debate wasn't such a selling point. Because what Kamala Harris did really well, by the way, was talk about how she sees a disastrous second Trump term. She didn't talk a whole lot about what Harris term was going to be.
Donald Trump says there will be no third debate. He's just put that up on his social media, saying that he doesn't need to. He's a prize fighter and he won. Without another debate, and by the way, that debate reached 70 million people, a whole lot of people. How does she do that? Is it more TV news interviews? Please say yes.
I would hope so. I mean, not just for our purposes.
Editorial board interview.
Right, but she has to get out there. The one attack that has been effective that Trump and his allies have leveled at her is that she's been hiding and she's afraid to answer questions. The rest of the stuff, Comrade Kamala, crazy Kamala, it's nonsense. It's not working. And Trump knows that, or else he'd be repeating it ad nauseum. We'll see if he does another debate, but in the absence of that, it's actually a good thing for her because she can go out there and basically continue to talk to voters on her terms, which is the most kind of controlled way to do it.
The campaign's it says they're going to be putting her out in front of a lot of voters in smaller venues. They're also going to be putting her out in front of local news in various swing states. Remember, this is going to come down to not necessarily a national audience, but a couple of counties in a few swing states.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy Peters, really good to have you. Thanks for showing up in person.
So that is the general sentiment from the fallout from the debate. I'm curious as to what you guys think about that. Make sure you let me know inside of the comments.